Like myself, he was spending a week of his vacation with them. These two had known Alan since he was a child. If they thought something was wrong with him, they never breathed a word of it to me. They seemed to treat him as a simple, good-natured fellow, just the chap to make a reluctant tractor go or tinker with an ailing oil engine, one who might astonish you by the agility with which he would shin up onto a barn roof or vault a 5-barred gate, but not a man you'd ever expect to contribute anything to such an argument as we had that evening after dinner. Yet his mother was right. That argument, more than anything else, showed me the change in him. He was not a fox hunter, but he liked fox hunters, and he loved all exercises of bodily strength and skill. In pre-war days he had always subscribed to the Saxby hunt, in whose country Thorsway lay, and if he did not hunt with them it was because he had always been a runner rather than a rider. He had been a notable cross-country man at Cambridge, a very good all-around athlete, but no horseman. In his country setting I thought of him as the descendant of a line of yeomen rather than squires, one of that old race of Lincolnshire farmers whose delight was in greyhounds rather than foxhounds, who took their long dogs coursing over the windy wolds on foot. But country sports were in his blood. Had Frank attacked fox hunting in the old days as he did this evening, Alan would have been the first to sail into action in defense of it. But now he had kept silent for an hour and a half, while the others went at it hammer and tongs. Frank Rowan, in truculent mood, retrospectively fighting the lost battle of the anti-fox hunting bill, only recently then defeated in the House of Commons, was witty, bitter, provocative, and, to my mind, something less than polite to his hostess and her neighbors when he stressed the moral and intellectual insufficiency of those who practiced or approved blood sports. Major Headley combined the modesty of a good professional soldier with a countryman's knowledge of hunting. He defended the cause on his own well-known ground, and steadily refused to be lured into regions where Frank might take him at a disadvantage with his weapons of philosophy and psychology. Not so Elizabeth Headley. And that was the strangest of all, that Alan was not moved to make at least some murmurs of support for her, or sketch some gesture of rescuing her from the tangle of self-contradictions and inconsistencies into which Frank, with wicked dialectic, led her. Her ardor would have fired a man far less susceptible to the influence of spirited young women than Alan had been in the old days. Now it seemed merely to bewilder him, or, as I felt once or twice, to alarm him. Elizabeth was 22, good-looking and lively. She had been born and brought up in Thorsway, and had been a devoted admirer and companion of Alan's when she was a child of 11 or 12 before the war. Horses had been a passion with her all her life, and her conversation with me on the few occasions when I had met her during these 3 days in the village had been all of hunting, horse shows, pony club meetings, and the bringing up of foxhound puppies. She, if anyone, might have been expected to be distressed at the change in Alan. Yet apparently she had agreed to marry him soon after he came back from captivity, and no one but Mrs. Querdilion had given me the slightest hint that all was not well between them. There had not even been any suggestion of pity or protection in Elizabeth's behavior towards Alan, as far as I could see. Nothing of the solicitude such as a warm-hearted girl would have shown for him if he had come back from the wars crippled or blinded. I say they were engaged, but I do not know that the engagement had ever been announced. I took it for granted from the way Major and Mrs. Headley and Alan's mother spoke of the pair. It is true I wondered a little why they were drawing out the engagement so long, though Elizabeth would have been only about 18 when Alan came back, and no doubt her people preferred her to wait. But there seemed to me to be no reason why they should not have been married during the last year. Then, as I observed Elizabeth during the heat of this argument about fox hunting, and saw the covert alarm in the gaze poor Alan turned on her as she retorted with brilliant indignation to Frank's attacks, I gave his mother credit for perceiving the truth. Alan had lost his spirit. His manhood was lost or sleeping. Something had so altered him that the girl's animation, youth, ardor, and beauty daunted him. He was simply afraid of her.